If my grandma could see me now, I know exactly what she would say. She would say, Kimmy, look at you. You were a snotty-nosed little thing when all knotted here. Couldn't even keep yourself nice. And now look, Miss Big Shot Boss Lady. When we came here, me never think me would live to see the day. And then she would laugh, the way she used to with her mouth shut. No matter how funny something was, she'd always laugh with her mouth shut. Even as a child, I remember finding that strange. I think she was brought up so strictly that they weren't allowed to show that they were having fun or be loud or decadent. How life changes. But I know she'd be proud of me, and that makes me happy. She came here, they came here for a better life. A better life for themselves, but more than that, a better life for their families, and that's exactly what they've accomplished. I just wish she'd lived to see my success. And in some ways I've been fortunate. I've had opportunities and been able to access things I never would have if they'd stayed back home. And in other ways, I've had to fight for everything I've got. Being a woman, and being a black woman, wow. That's not really something they do well in the city. Although I must say, it is starting to change. Slowly. Dreadfully slowly, but it is. But I've had to put up with a lot of crap, that men just don't have to. And if you complain, you're being whiny, or a victim, or weak. And if you get cross, well, you're cast as the angry black woman. There really is no winning. So you just learn to play the game, their game. Do the work, keep your mouth shut, take the shit, be nice, do it their way. But the worst time was a couple of Christmases ago. A group of us went to a bar after the Christmas party. The bar was very busy, and we were drinking and swapping stories, standing in a really tight circle. When I suddenly realised, with horror, that a male colleague had his hand up my dress and was grabbing my private parts. And whilst pretending to listen to another colleague. I remember twisting and squirming to get away, while trying to be polite to the person that was talking. A female colleague saw what was happening and inserted herself between this man and me, and I couldn't quite believe it. I was completely shocked, and I don't know why I didn't do or say anything. I still can't understand that. And afterwards, I was in disbelief, and I couldn't think clearly about how to handle the situation. I never reported it to Human Resources, as it happened off company property. And I didn't mention it to anyone else at work, and of course I didn't go to the police, which I should have. What he did was sexual assault. Anyway, that summer, there was a restructure, and I was promoted, and this male colleague became my subordinate, which made life unbearably difficult. We never discussed the incident, but I dreaded any interaction with him, especially one-on-one meetings. And, while I believe I treated him neutrally, I was unable to fully shake my anger, until gradually I would do anything to avoid him. And I started taking time off if I knew I had meetings with him. The occasional hospital appointment would suddenly crop up, or a sick day, or a family emergency. There was no end to the excuses I used. Until just before Christmas, when the thought of the yearly party and me trying to suppress my feelings, I just ended up pushing myself into a breakdown. And I know that's not something people would openly admit to. Mental illness is still so taboo that not many people would openly admit to it. But something that is often considered very negative has actually been hugely positive for me. And through working with exceptionally skilled professionals, I've not only put myself back together in a more stronger, but a much more complete way. And so I came back to work, and I realised people were avoiding me. They didn't know what to say or didn't know how to handle the situation, which was completely understandable. But then I heard that this male colleague had been spreading rumours about my ability to do my job and was possibly vying for my position. And oh my God, I was furious. And previously I may have been unable to or scared to deal with it, but not anymore. I went straight to HR and reported him. And I made it very clear that I would also be reporting him to the police and that this was not something that could be swept under the carpet. I'm just not playing their game anymore. See, if I continue to play their games, being nice, keeping my mouth shut, taking the shit, then it will always be on their terms, and women like me will always be the losers. Anyway, he was suspended instantly pending further investigation, and I watched him leave the office. And I saw him standing at the lift, looking utterly shell-shocked, disbelief, lost. And I imagined that that's exactly how I must have looked at that Christmas party. And it felt so good to know that he had a taste of his own medicine. And I went back to my office, and I closed the door, and I laughed out loud with my mouth wide open, because I will not keep my mouth shut the way my grandmother had to.